happen here in the first quarter. Suffocating at times.
Alex Caruso on the floor for Oklahoma City. Another one of the big pieces.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Bring the Thunder podcast. Today is a little bit of a different episode we're doing for you guys, which you'll actually get accustomed to these. This is a game recap, which we're kind of just doing with one of the best things about having this bigger group for you guys is we can sub people in, sub people out. If someone can do an episode, we can just do it with like 4 people, 3 people. We can just get it done. And that's what we're doing here. So tonight we only got 4 of us. We got me, Gabe, then we got Joe, Joey, and Landon. So we're just doing a game recap tonight of the Thunder versus the Trailblazers game. So just so you guys know, for the format, this will be a bit shorter, but we'll just kind of go around talking about like basically different topics from what we thought about the game and just discuss them. So, I mean, feel free to leave whatever feedback you guys want. If you guys agree with us, let us know. If you disagree, again, let us know. You're allowed to disagree for sure. Yeah, so just let us know. So, does anybody want to start? I mean, I have one that I can start with if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Okay. So, first thing I want to say, this game, a lot closer than the final score looked like. I mean, 10 isn't a lot, but like it looked, I mean, you know, you win by 10. It's not bad. Check the box score. It was all right. My biggest thing in this game, if they are shooting, guard them, dude. We were leaving just anyone open to shoot threes because we thought, okay, he's not a good 3-point shooter. It doesn't matter. We had I can't pronounce a specific name. Toumani Camara, yeah. That dude is like a lower percentage 3-point shooter. 5 for 5 because we sat there and watched him shoot threes. I mean, it's
on
bad.
The Blazers, he's his assignment is defense. He's their defender.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, on one hand, and here's one thing: if we're getting beat by like Anthony Simons, or if we're getting beat by Jeremy Grant, okay, I can live with that. They're good. Right. He's not supposed to be doing this, and our excuse can't just be he's not a good shooter, so you know he'll miss eventually. I don't care if he'll miss eventually if we keep letting him shoot. He's an NBA player. When you're open, your 3-point percentage goes up by about 5 to 8%. I mean, an open 3 is a good look for like 80% of NBA players. It doesn't matter. Russell Westbrook, as we all know, is a brick. But if you leave that dude wide open, he can absolutely cash a 3. This is no different. And that was something that happened repetitively tonight, where I'm just like, we just watched someone hit a 3. Why are they coming back down and kicking out? Because we doubled in the paint and they're hitting another open 3. Like, so that's my first kind of point I want to bring up is guard the 3-point line.
His regular season 3-point percentage is 33.5%, and then the last 10, it's only 27.5%.
So problem against the Mavericks too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to carry off that. Listen, a lot of it could fall on the players, but I feel like every time we play teams, doesn't matter what team it is, a guy that is not super well known kills us from the 3-point line. Tonight being Toumani Camara. Who went 5 for 5, finished with like 24 points.
Yeah.
But I gotta put that on the coaching because I don't care if you're playing Portland and you know we can allow this to happen. We're still gonna win. It's the tendencies throughout the game. You have to adjust, right? So if you see the dude knock down his first 3, maybe slide over to him a little bit. I mean, they don't have a lot of guys that you're super scared of that you're like, oh, I can't one-on-one play this guy on defense. Yes, I know we were missing Lou, obviously Chet, our 2 best defenders. But it's super easy to adjust mid-game. That's what championship teams do. They make adjustments throughout the game. Second thing I'd like to say about Coach Mark is, I mean, the lineups, again, I know we're injured. But come on, man! Our second unit came in the second quarter, and we were up by what, 19 points?
Like 18, I believe.
19 points.
Yeah.
And then you take these guys out who brought you there, and we're back into a game with Portland. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. I think I don't want to say it, but I don't want this to bite us in the end of the season because that's when coaching really matters to playoffs. And if it continues, I don't know what to think, man.
Again, I think the theme continues when Alex Caruso's on the court. We're a better basketball team.
Yeah, yeah. He had a plus 21 tonight. I mean, he team high, like that's noticeable. Like some people are going to look at his stats and say, okay, he shot 1 for 6. Like I said in the last episode, I have never seen a player who affects the game off the stats better than Alex Caruso. And that's proof. He's on the court and he's got the highest plus minus the entire team because the hustle is absurd. I mean, there were several plays where he was chasing down rebounds, diving, reaching. I mean, the guy is a game changer. So I absolutely agree, Lando. He's got to be in more. He just has to be.
And I gotta say, Gabe, I was gonna say the same thing. He didn't even have a good offensive night, yet he's plus 21. He's not plus 8. He's not plus 50. Plus 21.
Yeah.
On the other side, Kaysen, I feel like I'm hating on Kaysen way too much here, but he's minus 12. So
Yeah.
I don't care that, okay, this is the starting lineup. They'll come back in after. No, adjust throughout the game.
Yes.
Put Caruso in Kaysen's spot. You win by 20.
Yes. Teams that win games, they win because they play with flow. They adjust with the flow. When the flow is working and a game is flowing so nicely, use that damn lineup until you can't anymore. Come on. Like, don't waste that momentum that you have built up because, like you said, it's not the starting lineup. We got to get the starters back in. Right. No, you don't. You need to ride out the flow. If things start going sideways, make an adjustment. He waits until we hit the peak, the flow's at the peak, and then decides that Caruso's been in too long and it's time to throw Kaysen back in.
It's like robotic. It's like
yes. It's like 2K automatic subs.
It is. It is.
It's just crazy.
I'd like to add the starting lineup. I understand we got some guys out, but in my personal opinion, I feel like Isaiah Joe should have been starting over Wiggins. And I know there's a couple things about that. A lot of people like Aaron Wiggins. I think he's a great player.
Mhm.
I agree on that. I think Isaiah Joe's a great player too, and he has not been shooting well. But over the last 10 games, he's been doing very good.
Yes.
I mean, he's averaging 13 points over the last 10 games. He's also averaging 37.5% from three, which is decently high.
Mhm.
And he's shooting well from the field. So over the last 10 games,
Yeah.
he's been kind of catching up. So I feel like he kind of should have started because he takes that role that Lou Dort filled kind of on the wing. That was kind of the spot up shooter. The catch and shoot guy was Dort, and I think Isaiah Joe could have filled that role better than Aaron Wiggins.
Joey, you're 100%
It's not just
right.
It's not just his 3-point shooting either. He's started driving to the basket and finishing shots of high difficulty. He had one that was like a circus layup, I think, in the third.
That was tough.
It was like a hook.
Yeah, that hook. Yeah, it was when we were only up 5 or 7. Also,
yes,
it was a very good shot in a time of need. Yep.
Yes, he also had that really tough and one where he switched in midair off the Hartenstein pass. That was nasty.
And then he blew a kiss to the camera.
Yes.
And
that was nasty.
Joey, you're 100% right. Another thing with Wiggins, we all love Aaron Wiggins, right? Dude saved basketball. But the last 2 games, he's 0 for 10 from deep, while Isaiah has been playing out of his mind. Well, I don't want to say out of his mind, but he's been shooting the lights out, really.
Yeah.
And he went 3 for 7 tonight, but I'll take 3 for 7 over 0 for 10. Like, it's just simple things against worser teams or lesser teams, I should say, that just championship teams they just take care of. And right now, I just don't like how we're being coached. I don't. The talent and the players are there, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, you look at our performance tonight. If we're not playing the Trailblazers, there's not a lot of teams we beat playing this way. I mean, we're fortunate we put up this performance against a team like Portland. And granted, yeah, sure, they had some guys pop off. That's partially the players popping off. That's partially our defense is lacking and giving them shots. So we play a team like Golden State, who we play next, and we don't win that game. I mean, we just don't. They have players who step up in the moment and can win a game like that. So, kind of like you just said, Joe, like we can't be coached like that and going into bigger games because you're not going to win. Look at a playoff series. No shot are we going to pull off a win being coached like that. There's just no way. And I will give Mark a little bit of credit with the Wiggins thing. He played less minutes than Joe. I do think he realized Wiggins is off. Let's give Joe some more minutes. But still, it's still closer than it should have. I mean, Joe should have been in the 30s, in my opinion. I mean, there was no reason he shouldn't have been. He was on, like you said, Joe, when he blew the kiss to the camera, he was feeling it tonight. Like, let the guy play. I don't understand why we take him out, and 25 minutes is good for a bench player, but I just think especially in those moments where we needed it when they started like kind of cutting that lead down. Why is Wiggins in over Joe, or why is Kaysen in over Joe? Like
The only
that's
thing I could
just
see with Kaysen is like we already were without Dort, so
true.
I
The
mean
defense presence.
the defensive presence. I mean
Hmm.
just to have it there, but yeah, I mean I don't know.
Yeah,
I agree with Joe. I don't know.
I agree on that too. But another thing is Joe had 24 points last game.
yeah,
He's coming off a hot game.
yeah.
I mean, I understand if he was just putting up the normal numbers he does, maybe. But
Right.
I forgot about that. But I just looked at 24 points against Brooklyn,
Yeah,
80% from three, and
yeah.
80% of the field. He didn't shoot a 2-pointer, I guess, because 80
Yes.
80. I mean, that's
We
insane. Well, he might
needed
have. But
Yeah.
we needed his
so,
shooting in the second half too. Our offense just went stale.
Oh, it was
Seemed like
so.
almost every possession down the court we were using the whole shot clock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And
not
I
on
mean,
purpose. Not on
no,
purpose
no.
either.
And Joey, you were just talking about Joe's last game. Well, then we look at Wiggins' last game, and he's 0 for 6 from three. I mean,
yeah.
so I agree. Why does he get the nod to start over the guy whose last game? I mean, maybe it's because he's just coming back from being sick. I mean, I guess I can. Okay, I'll listen to that. But then he plays
That's
25 minutes, and it's like clearly he was fine. Like there wasn't any reason for him not to start. Like he's fine. He's playable. So that's just a real head scratcher there.
I mean,
But
right.
I don't get that.
Isaiah also was second in plus minus at plus 17.
Yeah.
But I do want to, step back from like, I don't want to call them lesser guys, but our role players and talk about Isaiah Hartenstein to
I was
get
gonna
him
do that
back.
too.
Yeah, to get him back, I mean, 14, 11, and 6 on 5 for 6. I mean, the dude is awesome. He had great defense down the stretch, a couple key blocks, big
Hmm.
blocks.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
mean, I know he was going up against Klingon, who's a rookie, but I mean, Klingon's a huge dude, and I just having
Yes.
adding Isaiah Hartenstein to this team, I just can't wait till Chet's back because this team's gonna just
Yeah.
they're
No,
just
I
gonna go
agree.
crazy, man. I could
Yeah,
he's
for
he's
sure.
he's he's the perfect fit for Oklahoma. I think he's the perfect center for any team in the NBA. I'm not gonna lie.
Hmm. Hmm. I agree. Kind of going off that, like I mentioned, I was going to also bring it up. I just called it the Hartenstein effect. I mean, it's obvious and like it sounds obvious to say when you have a center, you play better. He's not just a center. The way he orchestrates the offense, the passes I mean, he is so much more than just like your average big center. And there was a specific moment in this game towards the end where he got like 3 offensive rebounds. He was fighting in the trenches. I mean, literally like rising up, ripping the ball out, and it ended up with the Shea three. Like that was arguably to me that was the biggest play of the game. Was Hartenstein coming down with 3 offensive boards in that moment and getting the ball out. I mean, and he was like going 1v2, 1v3 for these rebounds, fighting for him, and finally gets it out and Shea hits the three. I mean, you don't without him, I don't know if we win that game. I really don't think we do. I mean,
No.
we don't have a guy fighting down low to get those rebounds. He just changes every single play that he's in. It's kind of like Caruso. I mean, the effect he has, but I mean, obviously you see his effect on the stats too, but off the stats, just having a guy who fights so hard in the paint is untradeable. It's beyond value. Like
Yep.
he just tires out other teams. He fights. I mean, I just love the guy. It's so nice having a player like him, and I couldn't agree more that getting Chet back, those two are going to be unstoppable. I mean,
Yep.
no one's scoring in the paint,
No.
not consistently. There's just no way.
No, and then you got Lou on the perimeter too with J Dub and Shea who are pretty decent at defense as well, I'd say.
For
So
sure. For sure.
And I
The
will
way
say
Jay,
go ahead.
the way J Will's been playing, Mark's gonna have some tough rotation decisions when
Yes,
Chet
he
gets
is.
back.
Absolutely. Jay Will, once again, keeping that streak up that I mentioned last episode, another three in a game. He is consistent. Like, I just respect that. Just very useful there. But one thing I also wanted to highlight tonight, a good thing, J-Dub got to his spots tonight, man. He took care of business and he reminded people that he's an all-star level player. He is. I mean, sure I mean, it wasn't perfect, but him and Shea tonight, they proved that they are a great duo. I mean, J-Dub, I felt like a lot of times when we had that stagnant offense, J-Dub would pull some shot out where for a second, if you weren't a Thunder fan and you weren't watching, you're like, oh, it's such a bad shot. And then it goes in. You're like, nah,
yeah.
it's just what he does.
Yeah, and he was also our top besides Hartenstein, he was our top creator tonight. I was
Mhm.
going over Shea had 35, but he had 1 assist. That's
Yeah.
not like him. He's
Jalen had 8.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Jalen had 8. He was 24, 5 and 8 or something like that.
Yep,
The percentage
exactly.
wasn't great, but early on, first half, he was outstanding. That's why in that second quarter we made that push with Dub and Caruso and Joe. Having him as a number two option, and if you want to call him 2A 2B when Chet comes back, is just he's just great, man. He's an all-star. He's got to be in San Francisco, and
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah,
win
for
without
sure.
him either.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the thing that blows my mind with him is like I've never seen a player so capable of hitting off balance shots. I mean, when he goes up, it just looks like there's no way. I mean, he takes these just absurd shots and it's just automatic. I mean, I can't believe some of the shots he hits and it's just every time just laces it, nothing but net. And I kind of think Michael Cage mentioned it during the when he was announcing that banked three he hit, that really switched things and kind of got the offense rolling again. And that banked three, I mean, that was ridiculous.
But
I
that's
mean,
a Dub thing. That's
yeah.
what he does, right? Like
Oh, for sure. I just
stuff
couldn't.
like
I
that.
was like, even he was like, if you watched him, he just shrugged. He's like, I don't know,
Yeah.
man. Like that was just crazy. But dude just got to his spots tonight. He took care of business when we needed it. I agree. Yeah, the splits were inconsistent during that little run, but outside of that, he proved tonight. Some people were kind of doubting. He'd been having some inconsistent games here and there. He's an all-star caliber player. He is. He's proved
The
that.
last 4 games he's done really well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been.
Well, he's dropped 20 plus the last. So Portland, he had 24. Dallas, he had 33. Utah, he had 25. It seems like that game alone against Dallas, which he should have performed better because he was the main guy. Ever
Mhm.
since he played not very well that game,
Yeah.
only scoring 19 points, 20% from the three, and 31.8% field goals.
Yep.
He did pretty rough that game. Ever since that game, he stepped it up. He realized,
Yeah.
you know what? I cannot let that stop me. I
For
get
sure.
it. Shai's come back since then, but the game before against Cleveland, he also had only 19. So
Yeah.
it's like something happened in that Dallas game. He realized because he underperformed. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. He definitely underperformed, and he had some turnovers, and
Mhm.
it wasn't the best. He had 6 turnovers that game. It wasn't the best, but ever since then, he scored 25, 33, and 24 with blocks against Dallas last time. He had 4 steals. He had 2 blocks and still against Portland. He's been shooting from three very well, 33%, 50%, 50%. And he's just done really well the last 3 games ever since that. And so I think that from now on, we're going to keep seeing that from him, hopefully
Yeah.
at least.
I agree.
I would agree. He had a monster block tonight. I can't remember who it was on, but one of his blocks, I mean, it was just it,
On the fast break.
yes, the fast break. That I mean,
Power had one too.
Yep.
I don't remember the exact like stat on it, but his wingspan is just absurd. I mean, that man's wingspan is absolutely crazy. And I mean, that's part of why he's such an effective player. I mean, he uses it so well.
That's why
He's
he's so
just
good driving to the basket over
yeah,
anybody. Don't matter if it's a sole defender. What he'll do is he'll drive to it and he'll kind of like, instead of like laying it up normally, he'll stretch his arm out
yes.
over here and kind of flip it up
Yes,
because he's
kind of
got
like a
such
hook.
a long, yeah,
Yep.
kind of like just a hook layup type thing
Yeah.
because he got such a long wingspan. He can
hmm
just easily do that over anybody, really.
Yeah, it's nasty for sure. I mean, I don't want to point out, well, I'll just get to the obvious talking about Shea as well, 35, but one specific thing is that's now 40 consecutive games of 20 points, which is the most by any player. I mean, come on.
We don't
Like,
expect anything else now. We
that's
don't
just
expect anything
crazy.
else.
Ridiculous.
That's just crazy. Like, it's insane to think that as NBA fans, like people just, oh well, there's Shea, he's got 20 again. But we need to really like this is phenomenal. Like we're witnessing a player who can get whatever he wants. I mean, he gets to his spots effortlessly. It's absurd. And these people try to call him this free throw merchant, which as we all know, but like that's part of the game, man. If he pushes and he forces a free throw to slow down the pace, I'm standing up cheering because
Yeah,
he's playing the
people
game
saying
right.
free throw merchant don't know ball. That's
No, they don't. Like, okay, yeah, sure. Maybe a play or two a game, he does the pump fake, gets a guy in the air and jumps. Every star in the NBA is going to do that. That's just basketball. Players do that. Harden started it. Trae Young capitalized on it. Everybody does it. Like, but it's not like he's doing that every single time like people act like. He's just the dude is a bucket getter. Like he is a pure scorer. And I don't like I said, people are just underestimating it now. I mean, I don't think people realize like how generational that he is.
It's become so like consistent, right? It's become so consistent that even tonight he went 12 for 25.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad game whatsoever. But when I was watching the game, I was like, Shai looks a little off tonight, right? You go to the box score, he had 35 points.
It happens
Right.
all
so
the time.
So it's like it's just so simple for him, and he makes it look too easy. I think people aren't appreciating it as much. I mean, I know we do for sure.
Yeah.
But,
and you know what makes me always makes me laugh. It literally feels like from three, he's just like practicing. He's just getting practice shots up. Like some games he'll hit a very consistent clip. Other games it's pretty rough, but like he'll still have 30. Like he's just practicing his threes. And honestly, I mean, it's respectable, but it's also kind of like it's respectable as fans for like, let's go. It's low key feels disrespectful to the other team. Like dude's just working on his game in the middle of an actual game because he just can. I mean, that's the thing. If he feels a three and he feels he's got to look, he'll go for it. But if he misses, the next time he'll be disciplined. He'll come down, take his guy in the paint, and hit a fade right over him, and then come down and try another three the next possession because he's just doing whatever he wants. He's playing street ball.
It's not meant to be disrespect when he's practicing in the
game.
game.
I know, for sure.
This is a man's league. You got to be better than me unless I practice on you during the game, right? So
for sure, it's just.
I mean, if he's going to practice them anytime, it should be now. So he has that in his arsenal when we're in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I mean, I think he needs to do whatever Anthony Edwards did. I mean, this year compared to last year, Anthony Edwards is a crazy 3-point shooter. If he can find out what he did and do something similar, Shai built his 3-point shot because he's so effective in the mid-range. If he also is that effective from the outside or even just a little more effective, because I don't know what he's shooting exactly, around 32, 33%. Is that right? If I just guess. Right. Which around league average. It's not special. It's not bad, but it's not special. But I mean, he makes the clutch shots. But if you would figure it out a little better, because we're supposed to have a really good shooting coach. That's why we had the best 3-point percentage in the league last year. I know it's dipped a little bit this year, but if you would figure that out, he'd probably average 3-4 more points per game just from that.
Yeah.
So I just want to make a point there. Earlier in the season, it kind of frustrated me a little bit because he was shooting a lot. I know he was practicing, trying to get better at the three. The thing with him is he gets to his spots so easily. I don't know if him shooting the three actually benefits him at all. Yeah, sure, if he's shooting 45% from three, yeah, of course it would. But I think if he's shooting 2 threes on 2 different possessions and missing, that's 4 points he could have had easily. And we know he gets to his spot. He know he gets to the rim. So it's like wins and losses there. I'm not really sure how to go about
for sure.
That.
Right. I'm just saying if he started to get a little more efficient is the only thing. And what you were just saying about the taking multiple 3-point shots, I think like 4 or 5 games in a row, he was averaging around 7, 8 3-point attempts per game, which is not really like him, which was kind of odd. And I remember that, and he wasn't doing bad, but it was just average. He was shooting averagely. So I'm not sure what was going on there to make him want to start shooting more of those.
I think it's like what Gabe said. I think it's more like practice, honestly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a desire.
And you might as well take them, I'm guessing. But
exactly. It's just that desire he has to just get better. I mean, he just wants to be good at everything. I mean, he's pretty much good at everything. I mean, I would almost argue that like consistent shooting from three is probably the, in quote, weakest part of his game because he's a great finisher, great shooter, great ball handler, can rebound, can pass, all that good stuff.
Defense.
Great defender. Threes, one game he can hit 2 or 3. The next game he can hit 1 out of like 8. So, you just don't know. It can be consistent. But the thing I will say is when it comes to like the moment and he's taking the 3, there's no one. I mean, there's not a lot of guys I'd rather have taken it. His percentage shoots up. He hits it when it's necessary. Like tonight, when I was talking about that Hartenstein stint where he got 3 offensive rebounds, in order to get those first 2 offensive rebounds, we had to miss, and we did, and it wasn't him. They finally kicked it to him, and he just pulled it, drained it. I mean, the guy can be an inconsistent shooter all he wants, but he's gonna step up when it matters, and that's
a 3-point shooter.
Yeah, that's what I was implying. That's what I was implying.
Yeah,
obviously we know he's Mr. Consistency, but
imagine if his 3-point percentage was a little higher because he's already shooting a field goal percentage of centers who were mainly taking short little twos. His field goal percentage is so high. If he would take less threes or even get his 3-point percentage better, he would have a crazy field goal percentage for a guard.
Yeah,
upwards of close to 60%, which right now he's got around what, 55, 56%, I think.
It's absurd.
And if he was better at 3-pointers, it would 100% go near 60, which is insane for a slashing guard who, I mean, just a guy like him is insane.
A guy who's led the league in drives for like 4 consecutive seasons. I mean,
add
a 3 to that guy.
Which is completely different from what OKC has seen in the past with Russell Westbrook. We all know we love the guy, but he's not super consistent when it comes to his percentages. He took a lot of shots because he was the main guy, but he wasn't the best shooter, and he was a little bit inconsistent. He showed up when it mattered because he led the 2010s in clutch shots and stuff like that. He showed up when it mattered, but he also, his field goal percentage and stuff was not the greatest, and he would take a lot of risks. And so it's kind of like we're seeing a different play style and completely different shift.
You guys are gonna hate me, man. You're gonna hate me.
I was just about to say what I think you're gonna say.
Go for it, then.
Let me say it this way.
Go for it.
In terms of a skill set, I think Shai's just an all-around better player. He's just a more complete player in terms of like the consistency of everything. Like Russ was this, I mean, number one favorite player. The reason I love basketball. But like Joey was just saying, you just couldn't trust the consistency at times. I go into I mean, I'm not a betting man most of the time. But if I was, I mean, I would never feel bad about Shai in a parlay. Just never.
Right.
He's gonna, and I've seen people that are like, man, I don't like Shai. He missed out on my parlay. Then your parlay sucked because he is the most consistent player.
You're taking the wrong lines, buddy.
You're doing something wrong because it's not on him.
Gabe, I wasn't gonna say.
I thought you were going down that route.
Russ. I think he's
Let's hear it then.
I think he's more of a KD, to be honest with you.
That's fair.
The way he scores mid-range. Obviously, he's better at getting to the rim. Like, he's more creative at getting to the rim, but just getting to his spots and the dribble pull-ups, I think you see the more consistency out of him, like we did with Kevin Durant.
I don't think there's anything crazy about that. I would agree with that, actually.
I don't want to compare my favorite player in the NBA right now to Kevin Durant because we don't like him. But I mean, that's not a bad comparison.
No, it's not. It's not. So. I mean, a lot of people recently I've been seeing comparing him to Allen Iverson.
Interesting. Kobe Bryant, the way they get to their spots.
The way that the only person that can stop Shai is himself. Shai will stop himself. That's it. I mean, there's not a guy that I genuinely believe can just shut him down. I don't even think there's a guy that could really slow him down.
No.
If he's
his cousin maybe.
But like if he's having an off game, it's something going on with himself, and he nearly will always take a step back, evaluate that, and then when we see him come back, he's changed something. I mean, the guy he's just a hooper, dude. Just a pure basketball. I mean, it's crazy how good this guy is. It really is. And like we were saying earlier, everybody's just expecting it now. Like it's just common knowledge, and I don't like that. Like I love that it's common knowledge, but like you talk about how good he is, and people say you're glazing, and it's like it's just true.
You know what? You know when they'll find out if this guy goes into the playoffs and he continues this and he's just dominating. Then they'll shut up.
Yes,
right?
they can't. You can't deny it. Exactly, for sure. And I think, I mean, right now the way it looks, there's not a lot of reason to believe he won't do that. I mean, with the consistency.
I'd like to go back to what you said a little bit earlier about the 20-point games, which is an insane streak.
Just crazy.
And his consistency is really good. And I don't mean to start this conversation or make an argument or this or that, but there are some comparisons being made between him and a very popular player in the NBA right now. And you don't see that out of this player. There's another player over northwest of us in the snowy mountains that is not near as consistent as Shai, as he had a couple weeks ago, a game with 19 points and 10 points.
Say it with your chest,
wasn't
Joey.
shooting,
Say it with your
wasn't
chest.
shooting well, which he didn't take a ton of shots. But the last game, he lost to Minnesota. Everybody praises him. He only had 3 rebounds that game. When you're the starting center, 20 points and 3 rebounds. He had a high field goal percentage, but he's not consistent as Shai is. Nikola Jokic
there it is.
not as consistent as Shai is.
There it is. No, and it's not just the consistency, but the defense. The defense is immeasurably different.
Oh, it's bad. He's a traffic cone.
That's his
weakness.
He's
Luka. He's Luka.
Yeah,
He's a big Luka. He's literally. They're from the same country. I'm pretty sure, right? They're both Serbian.
Are
they both Serbian? Slovenian,
Serbian,
around the same area.
Close enough.
No offense to anybody watching there. We're Americans, of course, so we don't know a whole lot. But I mean, their defense is not good.
All right, well,
Jokic does fill the sheets with the defensive stats, but he's not a defensive player like Shai is. That's all I wanted to say.
I think that's fair. Yeah,
I'd just like to wrap up real quick. Just going back to the actual game recap. I know last episode I said good teams don't have trap games. This was getting to that point. And I want to say I'm still right because we execute down the stretch and we win by you win by double digits without your best defender and a top 7 center in the league. That's not a trap game. That's a good win.
Yeah. Win's a win. That's all that matters. But
yeah, it's a win.
Yep. Well, guys, we hope you guys enjoyed the little recap. Just touching on some things. Got a little sidetracked with the MVP race there, but that's all right. But for sure, thank you guys for listening. Make sure you guys tune in to the next one, and we will catch you guys later.